Gio here. Super excited for today's episode. I had all sorts of questions about managing an Airbnb and what goes into it and what to expect when starting out. So I reached out to a good friend of mine. She manages 4 Airbnbs and we kind of talk about all of it from beginning to end here in this episode. I think you'll really like it. Stay tuned. Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Shootin the Breeze podcast. Thanks for joining us. I'm super excited for today's guest. This is a good friend of mine. I've known her for a long time and actually kind of found out that she happens to have some Airbnb properties too. And so we're going to catch up. I'm going to learn all about Airbnb properties, take some questions from social media, but please help me in welcoming Maggie. Hi, Maggie.
Hi, Gio. I'm glad to be on your podcast.
Yay. I'm so happy to have you on here and just talk. I mean, I know we started talking about this because I was thinking about kind of buying a property, which I
Yeah.
actually have to like catch you up on it. We ended up not buying it. So
She told me, or Jen told me.
yeah, so it was nuts. I have to send you some of the pictures. Like it was wild, but
No, when she told me a little bit about it, and I was like, one of those. It was one of
yeah,
those.
yeah. I mean, it's not for everybody. And we obviously it's our first house too. So I don't want to like take
For
on
sure.
so much more of a project than I can.
No,
But
absolutely.
maybe
Absolutely.
so tell me about Airbnb. How, do you run more than two?
Yeah, we have 4 Airbnbs.
No way.
Yeah, 4 of them. We have four, 3 are subleased and one is owned.
So what, let's explain. Sublease means
Sublease is basically, I mean, we worked out a deal with our landlord.
right.
So we pay him rent and then the rest is ours, basically.
That's cool. So you run 4 Airbnbs and how many you only own 2 of them?
No, so okay. So we have 4 Airbnbs, but 2 properties. One property is our house, the one we're currently renovating. Our other property is an Airbnb, and then the other 3 are sublease.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Like when was your first Airbnb?
Okay, so Drew and we needed a new place to like live in because our place, they basically sent us a notice saying, hey, we're going to be doing a bunch of renovations. You guys have to be out like in 3 months. And
Oh
we
my
were like,
gosh.
oh no, what are we going to do? Like, this is crazy. So last minute on Craigslist, we found this duplex for a
Okay.
thousand dollars a month, $1,000 a month
For both of them?
for one side of the unit,
Okay.
one side of the duplex.
Right.
And we're like $1,000 in Golden Hill, like that's unheard of. And we're like,
Yeah.
oh, we're totally jumping on this. It had
A
washer,
thousand anywhere in
dryer.
San Diego is unheard of.
I know. So when we moved in, and there's obviously a unit next door, but our landlord hadn't renovated it or done anything with it. He literally let it sit there. We were there for almost 3 years, and he still hadn't done anything with it.
Oh wow.
And in those 3 years, Drew and I would travel, and we would always stay in Airbnbs. So then one day we came back from a trip, I think, and Drew was like, what if we live right here. What if we just Airbnb the unit next door? Like, do you think our landlord would be up for that? And I was like, that is a genius idea. Genius. And so that's how it started. We basically asked our landlord, hey, we will renovate the entire thing. We'll renovate it all. You just let us Airbnb it. He did not know what Airbnb was. He never heard of it. He's like older, so he just didn't know anything.
But
He
how did
just
that
knew.
conversation go? Well, like
I know it was so nerve-wracking. Drew and I were literally like shaking. Like we were like, oh my gosh, what are we doing right now? What
yeah.
if this all fails? Like, what if this fails? Like we were just so, but we knew like San Diego, people love San Diego.
Well,
We're
Golden
right
Hill, I mean,
in
you're
the,
kind of in the middle of everything.
exactly. So we're like, we know we'd make at least the rent. Like, I'm sure we would make the rent. Um, and our landlord, like our biggest selling point was that our landlord was going to get a whole entire unit renovated.
Right.
And at the moment he was using it like as a shed,
So
really.
just storage.
Storage. Literally, he had so many things in there, and we were like, oh man. So we had to build, we told him we will renovate and then we will clean it all out and build you a huge shed in the backyard. And he
Oh,
was
okay.
like, I mean, it was a
He's like,
win-win.
what? Okay, what are these guys doing? Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, okay. He's like, let me think about it. He went home, researched what Airbnb was, and he was like, okay, let's do it. Let's see how it goes.
So
So
how did
he
that
did.
work? I mean, did he have like a percentage he wanted, or did he
No, it was
just
just a
said,
flat rent
oh,
every
so it's
month.
like you said, hey, instead of just renting one from you, we're gonna rent two.
Exactly.
And then you guys kept the extra.
Yeah.
Oh wow. So that's nuts.
I know. I know. I know. It was one of those moments where we're like, oh, please let us make the rent. Like, if we could just make the rent,
Well, the first
we
month
would
had
be
to have been
good.
the scariest.
Oh, it was so scary, especially we put in after like 2 months of renovations, we put in 10K of our own money.
Whoa.
So it was like one of those like, oh shoot. I mean, really, if we hadn't built the shed, it was a huge shed out.
For
Like we
him.
made it would have been around 7K, 7.5 around there. But we were like, I think we could do this. Like, I think this will work. What the heck? Like, why not? Our friend had an Airbnb like in North Park, which is way different than Golden Hill. And he was like, yeah, they do really well. But we were like, it was so different. North Park is way better than Golden Hill. So, I mean, at the moment it was. Now they're kind of all the
Yeah. I
same,
mean, North Park for everything's going on though. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're like, man, what if it doesn't do well? And so we just did it. We just went for it.
Okay, so that's the first one, and obviously it did good because somehow you went from 1 to 4. So
So then we were like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. Like, this is amazing. Like, we
how
love
long did
doing
it take
this.
to start kind of getting it
I
booked?
mean,
And
literally, we put it up and like the next day it was booked.
no way.
Yeah, it was so scary. We were like, oh my gosh, we're getting our first guest. What are we doing? This is so nerve-wracking. Um,
Yeah.
we're like, there's so many things that you just miss as first-time host that you're like, did we get like kitchen towel, like, hand
Oh my
towels?
gosh.
So many little things that we were like, oh my gosh, why didn't we think about that? Like a wine opener. I don't know why we didn't think about this
Oh
stuff.
right. Yeah.
And so it got booked right away. And then again and again and again, like literally every day was
Yeah.
booked in December. We like went live in December and we were like, no way, no way.
And
Is
so
this
it just kept
happening?
getting booked. Was it just weekends that were getting booked, or was it weekdays? Or
It was every day,
no? Wow.
every single day. We were like, it was such quick turnovers. Drew and I were like, what did we get ourselves into? Like, this is crazy. It's
Yeah, because
every
it had to
day.
be pretty intensive. Like, how are you cleaning it every time? Like you're
Oh my, so that was the biggest part we did not think about at all. So we were like, yeah, Drew and I could totally do it. We're over here with full-time jobs. Like,
and
yeah,
someone's coming in tomorrow.
yeah. And the next day, we're like, yeah, we could totally do this. Oh my gosh, it took us months. Like, Drew and I are not professional cleaners. Like, you truly have to have this like professional cleaning background to finally get a flow of like how to do it the quickest, most efficient way possible. It was
Yeah.
crazy. It was really, really
So
crazy.
that's the first one. Tell me how you like rolled into the
So
second one.
so then that did really well. And Drew and I were like, we should buy a house and do like rent out our unit, the one that we were renting, and we wouldn't have to
Uh,
renovate it. It's already ready to go. We would
yeah.
literally leave all of our decor and just like buy a house.
Oh,
And
that
we were
one's
like,
even crazier than the first one.
and we were like, is this really gonna work? Like, what is going on? And so then we qualified for a house and we're like, oh my gosh, we're doing this. Like, we're gonna do this. It was so rough going through. I mean, I know what the word is, underwriting.
Yes,
Oh my gosh, they scrutinized us like
everything.
crazy.
Yeah, whenever we go through underwriting, clients always say like, "So I told that person everything they could possibly know about my life. I don't know what they could possibly need to know now."
Seriously, like it is so brutal. Drew and I were like, oh my gosh, we have to keep everything in order. Like, we have to have everything in line because any little slip up, so it's so easy to get
Right,
like, they'll dig into something. We're like, we just didn't, sorry, we didn't keep record of that or something. But
right.
so our landlord was like, yeah, like, let's do it. He was so for it because he's like, I win. Like the landlord wins in this situation. He gets a home, like 2 units rented out for the rent that he wants. And they're constantly being like looked over, like looked after.
And
So
cleaned and taken
it's
care of.
clean. They never have issues with anything, right? Like as far as
Yeah.
like long-term renters who are like just making a
Putting
mess.
holes in the walls and
Exactly,
painting, and
exactly. And we'd built like a really great relationship with our landlord. He
sounds
trusted us.
like it.
We were his tenants for 3 years. So he knew like we were always on time with our rent. We were very consistent. Like we had a great relationship with him. We helped him out around the yard anytime he came.
Mm,
And so we were like, all right, we're gonna do this. And he was all for it. He was like, okay, let's do it.
that's so cool. So how long did you have the first one before you decided to, move out of yours
Um,
and buy?
we had it for about a year.
Oh, so just 1 year of doing it, and you're like, hey, let's do another one.
Yeah. And we're like, I think we could do this. I think this would go really well. I think it was about a year or a little less than a
And how
year.
long did you rent there before you talked to your landlord about the other unit?
About our unit.
The first one. The first one.
So in total it'd be about 4 years.
So you lived there for
Plus maybe
four,
around there.
3, and then you were like, hey, that one's been empty this whole time. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So
Can you
then,
hear, wait, real quick, can you hear the notifications? I want to make sure
yeah,
you can.
yeah.
Okay, how do I turn these off?
Okay, so you're 2 Airbnbs in. As you can tell, we've had some technical difficulties at this part. So if it's rocky, I apologize, but we figured it out, hopefully, and we should be good. So you're
For
2
sure.
Airbnbs in, you're buying your other property. And
Yeah.
how does that go?
Okay, so we buy a property in mind that whatever property we're getting, one has to be close to the Airbnbs because in case they ever need anything, we're right there.
Yeah.
And two, it has to be like Airbnb standard, as in like perfect for 2 people if we ever want to Airbnb it. Because now we're like on an Airbnb kick. We're like, if we can buy a house and turn that one into an Airbnb, we're doing it. Like,
Right.
so we bought a house for way less because now we're in Logan Heights. Like 5 minutes away from Golden Hills, Logan Heights.
And it's a little
But
cheaper.
when we did our research, we're like, hey, people still stay in Logan Heights, so this can work. So we bought a nicer house, already flipped house, knowing, okay, if it's in Logan Heights, so some people may be like a little weirded out by it, by the neighborhood, at least it's a really nice house. So they'll feel safe because of that.
Right.
Um, so we bought that house, lived there for a year, but then 6 months or so in okay, so maybe I should have said this before. The lot in Golden Hill that our landlord owns, there's 3 houses on there.
In addition
So
to the
it's,
shed you build.
yeah, so there's a duplex and then there's a house, like a standalone
Oh.
house, 2 bedroom, not 1 bedroom. The other ones were 1 bedroom. So 6 months in, living in our brand new house while renting out 2 Airbnbs, our neighbor moves out and we're like, oh my gosh, this is literally steps away from the duplex and it's bigger. Like, what if this doesn't work out? Because we don't know if there's a demand for a 2 bedroom Airbnb, but let's try it. So we contacted our landlord again and we're like, will you let us rent this one out? Like, you have a case study already with 2 Airbnbs that you have allowed us to like use. Would you let us also rent this one out? And he's like, yes. The rent was significantly higher,
Sure.
but we knew if these are working out, this one could work out. And he's like, yeah. And we're like, oh my gosh, what? This is crazy.
So then you got a third.
So then we got a third
6
while
months into living at your house.
Yes. And we're like, oh shoot. Now we're like easy. Like it's easy for us. We know how much everything is gonna cost. We know what to get. Like it's become very, very like kind of like a habit. Like we just know what to do already.
Oh, I want to get into
So that's how
that.
we got
Yeah.
3. I know it was crazy. We got very, very lucky with our landlord owning
Yeah.
3 properties on the same lot in Golden Hill.
Right. which is a high demand area. You're
Crazy.
in San Diego. So tell me
Yeah.
about this process then, because you said you guys already kind of had the rhythm, you knew what to do. So for somebody who maybe gets a property like that and they're starting Airbnb, what is that process like? Like, what do you guys, when you took over that third one, you're like, what's your checklist, you know?
Yeah. So we know like it will look different for everybody, but the basics is like you know exactly how many duvets, how many sheets, how many towels, how you know what the utensils, what people break, which are wine glasses,
Oh, so
like
to
you
have
just
extras of
know the
those.
exactly like okay, we know that people prefer this in the living room or this kind of TV in the living room versus this type of TV, or we've
Really?
had issues with Apple TV but not Fire Stick. Okay, let's do Fire Stick. So just things like that are so they just come easier when you're 3 Airbnbs in. We're like, oh
Sure.
yeah, we know exactly what they're talking about. They
Do
want
you
this
do
or
you
whatever.
paint them? You guys have the same kind of like color palette on all of them? Do they all kind of have a different vibe?
They're all different because our landlord's the only one that we were fully in charge of renovating was the first one.
Right.
The other two are very different, a little, you know, they're a little different. Not like the color choices we would pick, but people love stuff that has character like that. So we
Like,
just
give me an
go with it.
example. Like, what do you mean?
Like for example, there's he has like he's one of those very resourceful landlords. So if he has a can of like brown paint and that's all he has and he doesn't have money for anything else, he will use that brown paint, even if
Oh,
it doesn't match the blue that's in the kitchen, if
oh,
that makes sense.
yes.
So we really have to work around that
Oh,
and
so you
kind of
guys
like,
aren't painting these. You just leave you leave.
no, no, because we're like, how much money can we make without using our own money?
Oh, wow.
So if it looks like, hey, it's good to go, and we just have to like clean up little scuffs or do little things like that, then okay, we will put that money in. But we've only renovated the first one and we've kept all of them the same. All of them the same. Because we're like, it's all about making money at the end of the day, right? So you're like, anytime you put in $100 for paint, that's $100 less that are like now you have to take out from what you're making.
Right.
So we just make it work and it's worked out. I mean, he doesn't have horrible paint colors. They're really great. Like they work out. It's just one of those like, oh, I wouldn't choose it, but it works.
That's cool. Um, okay, so oh, I had such a good question. So that okay, so you guys you get
Oh, we
that
were talking
third.
about the cleaning.
Yeah. So how are you cleaning all three of these now, actually? Yeah. Oh, and now I
So
remember.
yeah, so we had forgot that was the one piece that we forgot the first one.
Yeah.
Um, Luckily I was able to work from home right away. And so I was mainly the one cleaning them, like flipping them every day
Okay.
almost.
Jeez, that's
Um,
exhausting.
it was horrible. Like you talk about putting your marriage under stress. Drew and I would literally argue about like, you did the duvet wrong. That is the wrong way to put the duvet. And we're like, why are we arguing about this? This is
And both of you are
nuts.
tired. You're like, someone's coming in like 2 hours. You're like,
Yes, it was so crazy that first year until we figured out that checklist. The like, you come in, you do the bathroom, I do the bed, quick,
got
like
it.
in an hour, done. In the beginning, I'm not kidding you, it would take us like 3 hours. It was
Hmm.
horrible,
Miserable.
horrible. Oh, it was
Because you're
so
like, I'm running
horrible.
Airbnbs. I didn't sign up to be a cleaner. Yeah.
Yes. And so we're like, we did not think about this. So Airbnb 2 comes and we're like, ooh, we can't do this. Like, this is crazy. Like, as passionate as we are about Airbnb and properties and all of that, like, we also have our own passions and like cleaning is not one of them.
Right.
But my mom is a housekeeper.
Oh,
So we're like, Mom, how about you leave what you're doing and just come work for us?
no way.
Yes, it was crazy. And she's like, yeah, she's making way more for way less hours.
Sure.
And it's just like the middle of the day. All the rest of your days are free. I mean, like hours of the day are free. And
And it's
she's
a
like, yeah,
system.
I
She
can
knows
totally do
it's the same thing every time.
same thing. Same
How
thing.
how much laundry do you guys have to do?
Yeah. So it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot of laundry. If it's, I mean, sometimes it's like turnovers every day.
Yeah.
Now they're not that like crazy anymore. More it's like every 2 days, every 3 days. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of laundry. The cool thing is that it is that like 4 hours of the day, you can get it done. Like we do it right there in the Airbnb.
Right.
We have washer and dryers in all of our Airbnbs. So it's very like quick turnover right there. Wash them
Yeah.
off.
While you clean, you got a load going type thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very cool. That's insane. So, okay. So I've seen the term superhost, right? I think,
Yeah.
and it makes, as an Airbnb consumer, it makes you feel like way more comfortable when you see superhost. I don't even know what that is. I don't know what it means, but if I see superhost, I'm like, this person probably knows what they're doing. Like,
yeah.
Right? And I'm like, somebody else has stayed there, didn't die. I can go.
For sure.
So tell me, what does superhost mean, and how are you guys superhosts?
Yes, we're superhosts. So superhost.
Tell me a little bit about that.
You get a certain amount of 5-star reviews in a quarter period.
Oh, so it can go away. Like every quarter it's reevaluated.
Yeah. So you have to keep a certain amount of 5-star reviews in order for you to keep your superhost status. And you usually get 5-star reviews because the place is really clean, customer service is really great. So yeah, you do want to go with superhost.
Yeah.
For sure.
What is customer service being really great? Like what's a common thing that people always run into when they're staying with you guys?
So people love quick responses, and it could be as simple as like, hey, I don't know where to park. And you're like, oh, here it is. So just being very quick on getting back to them.
So you probably have an idea like, oh, they're checking in around 2. That means between 2 and 3, they're more likely to text me some questions because they just got there.
Exactly. And now the way Airbnb is set up, there's so many saved messages and scheduled messages that you're really not answering back as much anymore. It's just like very quick, like, no, sent. And you don't have to actually type it out.
That's cool. Or you could copy paste type thing.
Yeah, because it's literally the same questions all the time.
What's the Wi-Fi or whatever? I don't know.
Exactly. Like, can I do an early check-in? Can I do a late checkout? So.
Oh, that's cool. What's the most commonly left behind items at these Airbnbs?
Chargers.
Oh, really?
For sure, chargers. Any phone charger. We have so many of them.
So that's 3 Airbnbs. I think you said you had 4, right?
Yeah. So a year in to now living at our home.
So 6 months running 3.
Yeah. We were like, I wonder if we qualify for another house, because I had gotten a jump in my income. And I was like, I wonder. And I'm like, no way. It'd be impossible if we did, And so we hit up our real estate guy, and he's like, okay, let's just check out the market and see how it's going. Like, hit up your loan officer and see where you're at. And he's like, you totally qualify for another home. We're like, no way. Like, that is impossible. No way at all. Is that possible?
Because your income now from the other ones, it's been 2 years. So you're using your new bump and pay plus the Airbnbs.
Yeah. And it's like, but our debt to income ratio always plays against us because the rents are considered debt.
Right.
So we always have to be like very careful in our approach with underwriting. Always. Goodness gracious. So basically our loan officer was like, yeah, you're good to go. You can start looking for a house. And we're like, what? And we're like, well, it's June. July is the busiest because of Comic-Con.
Right.
So like, we're not going to find a house in that time. Like, this is going to be crazy. So we hit up my parents, and I was like, Mom, Dad, can we crash at your house? They have a really great house where it's like literally so many rooms and bathrooms that they don't use because we've all moved out.
Right.
And I was like, can we crash at your house until we get our house? Like, we should get a house in like 3 months, I'm sure, the whole process. And they're like, yeah, for sure. And I was like, awesome, we're right in time for. They're obviously going to say yes because they're the cleaners, right? Like, my dad is now the handyman and my mom's the cleaner.
Oh, wait, what? So how cool. So it's like a full family business.
Yeah.
How awesome. That's so cool. So of course they're like, oh yeah, another property that's going to bump everybody's up. And like,
of course they're like, yeah, crash at our house. We don't care. Like, we have rooms here. Like it'll work out. You'll find a house. Like it's not that difficult, right?
Uh-huh.
And so that's what we did. We went looking for a house. We flipped it, but we always had in mind like every decor piece I ever bought for that house was like one day this will be an Airbnb. So we literally left and it was just like take our own like our stuff and then we left everything. Like
Oh,
we've done every
you
other
left your
place.
bed, you left the couch, you left.
We left everything there. Everything except
Wow.
not bed. We got new beds. But we literally left every other thing you can think of.
TV, forks,
Yeah,
all of it.
pots and pans, everything.
It must have made moving so easy.
Oh my gosh, it was awesome. It was like, oh, that's it. Dang, that was
You're like,
awesome.
I should do this more often.
I know, right?
That's so cool. So
Except
that was
how
how
the
you got the
fourth
fourth one. It's up and running. How long has it been since that fourth one's been running?
Oh gosh, since 2018.
So you've been crashing at your
No, no,
parents for
no,
3
hold on,
years?
hold on. No. I'm way off here. Since 2000, well, okay, the house is about a year old now. So 2000, no, it wasn't 20 though. Like the very end of 2019.
Is when you moved in with your parents.
Yeah. So that's when we were like, yeah, we'll be gone in 3 months.
Yeah, I was
No,
like, it's April
COVID
2021
happened.
now. So
COVID happened. We had a baby. Like so many things. The house ended up being an entire fixer upper, which
that probably could
was
be its own
not.
episode, like
Oh yeah,
from what
yeah.
we talked about.
Yeah. So that was a whole thing. So we've been here for about a year and a few months now
At your parents.
at my parents.
And how did COVID affect Airbnb for you guys?
Oh my gosh, that was a very scary time.
Totally.
Very scary. Um, March and April were horrible. I mean,
Yeah.
it was empty. It was completely empty, the
And so
calendar.
you have to pay for all four of
Mhm.
these properties.
Yeah, which we were so grateful that we're cash flow positive because we're able to have like emergency funds, not
Yeah.
ever thinking that a pandemic is going to happen.
Not very many people were ready for that. Yeah.
So we were just so grateful that we had that emergency fund
Of
because
course.
it did hit us hard because it was empty and we were like, wow, is this ever going to pick up again? Um, it was rough. It was those 2 months we were like, oh man, what's happening? What is
Yeah. Well, the
happening?
whole world for that first month of March was just like,
Yeah.
what is happening? Yeah.
Yeah. The good thing is that the first 2 weeks of March was completely booked.
Got it. So it's just a
So
half.
yeah, it was half. And then April there was no bookings at all, but we were able to rent them out to people that needed a place in the meantime. So there was like a nurse who needed it. So she
Travel
rented
nurse.
it out. Yeah. So we still we weren't like fully in the red. It was still like, okay, we're good here. We're maintaining here.
Right. You had some like help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then May came along and it was like people could care less about the pandemic. It was
Of
one of
last
those like,
year.
oh man. Yeah. Yeah, it was fully booked all over again.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people were still traveling. Yeah. I don't know why. I have
Well,
like
San
no
Diego, like
explanation on
work
that.
too. Like, who knows? That's crazy. Well,
I know.
congratulations on your success, man. That's so cool that you guys have had like such a unique opportunity to make all these happen. And
Thanks.
that's
Your
really
thanks.
cool. When you're a super host, do you have to be a super host for each individual one, or like because you've already been ranked for one, or it kind of counts for all of them?
No, each one has to fit under the superhost umbrella.
Got it.
So I could be a superhost for one and the
But
other
not
one
be.
still hasn't been, they still haven't counted all the reviews for one. So that one's not a superhost unit yet.
Right.
But right now all of them are superhosts.
That's cool. So let's do this. I posted on my Instagram, and I think you did too, to people to submit some questions. I got a couple, and if you're up for answering them and we have time, I think that'd be awesome. Cool. So the first one comes in from, I don't know, should we share who they're from or just, yeah, right? I don't know.
I'll keep mine private just in case.
I'm going to leave mine private too. So
Okay,
the first one comes in is, how do you determine if a property is going to be a good Airbnb? Like what makes you how do you kind of figure that out? And how do you that's what he says. How do you determine if it will be a good Airbnb?
For sure. So the way that we did was really based off of our own Airbnb experience. So usually it's a couple traveling or friends, but they're always in twos. That's usually the most common.
So like 2 or 4
group of, 2 or 4. Exactly. So we always go off of that. Like, who knows? Maybe there's Airbnbs who have like 6 rooms, 3 bathrooms who do just as well. But we don't want to go that big as far as properties. We want them to be small because it cuts down on, the
Everything.
decor, all the utilities, all of that. So we base it off of 2 to 4 guests.
Okay.
Like, will this fit comfortably? Will 2 people or 4 people fit here? And then how well, like how accessible is there parking? Where is it at? Is it in downtown San Diego? Is it like in El Cajon? You know what I mean? Like we would
try stuff to do nearby.
Exactly. Like how close is it to the airport? Those are some of the few things that cross my mind right now.
Did you ever log into Airbnb and say like, oh, there's already a bunch around here. Maybe we don't do one right here.
Yes, I have seen that. I mean, it's always one of those things that you're like, well, what's one more gonna do?
Yeah.
Like we're just gonna be another option
in case those are all booked.
And it's worked.
Or
yeah.
Now, what are the sizes of each of your Airbnbs, real quick? So you got the duplexes; those are each 2 bedroom, 1 baths, or 1
Yeah, so they're almost there. The duplex is 1 bathroom, 1 bedroom,
Both
and those are about 600 square feet.
Oh, okay, those are perfect for a couple.
Perfect. And we have a private parking lot, which is rare that close to downtown.
Yeah.
So people love that. Yeah.
And then the bigger one.
Huge. And the bigger one, gosh, how big is it? I want to say maybe about 1,000 square feet.
And it's a 2-1 or 2-2?
And it's a 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
And that's perfect for like 4-person family.
Yeah. I think more family because the bathroom's shared, right? I know when couples travel, they kind of each want their own bathroom usually.
For sure. Did you hear that?
No.
Yeah.
Problem solved. And then the one that you guys bought?
The one in Logan Heights, that one is a 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom. It's small. It's about 600 square feet, but the way they have laid it out, it does not feel small at all. I don't know how they figured out the layout for this home. I'm shocked. Every time we go in there, I'm like, wow, they nailed it with this layout. Like,
that's cool.
They did a great job feeling.
That's awesome.
Like it feels open and comfortable.
Okay, I have one more question here, and then I had one in my head, but it went away. Let's see. What's the cancellation policy like? I think there's with Airbnb for people who haven't used it a lot. There's a lot of I heard this and I heard that, right? Because it's still kind of a different way to travel. So
for sure.
A friend of mine asked, I heard it's really hard to get any money back, even if the owner cancels on you. Is that true?
Oh no, that's not true.
Right,
anytime a host cancels on a guest, they will get their money back.
And that's 100%. Through Airbnb protects them, right?
For sure. Yeah.
And I actually could answer that one because I went to a friend of mine's wedding in LA and we had the Airbnb booked for like a month. And I messaged the guy. I was like, okay, cool. We're coming down next week. And this was my first Airbnb. Like I'd never been.
Yeah.
So obviously you're like, why would a person text me a week before and be like, well, I never got like I don't know. So anyways, day of comes around. I'm at the wedding. We're setting up, blah, blah. Cool. I'm like, hey, so how do I check in or anything, man? Like I never heard from you.
What?
Yes. It was my first one, Maggie. I didn't know like this is weird.
What's crazy is that they hadn't contacted you yet.
By that point, right now I know. Like usually you get email, you get something, right?
For sure.
I think I had a conversation with him and he approved it because I was like, hey, it's me and 2 couples. We're literally just gonna sleep and leave at 6 a.m. We're at a wedding and we're leaving really early. Mm-hmm. And he said, yeah, that's totally cool. I'll confirm you guys. So I never got anything else. I was like, cool, we must be good. Anyways, we're at the wedding, we're hanging out. Then I get an email that just says host has canceled your reservation through Airbnb. And I was like, wait a minute.
Oh
no. Where am I staying tonight?
Exactly.
So I called Airbnb, talked to this really cool customer service person. And then she goes, "Here, I'll tell you what, it sounds like you guys are in a pickle. Go book a hotel that suits for you guys. Send me the receipt and I'll refund you." And
Exactly.
so
That's
we
exactly
rented a
what Airbnb
suite,
does.
like downtown LA, a big suite, and everyone slept and I got refunded. It was
Hey,
awesome.
nice. Yeah, no, anytime a host cancels, you will get refunded 100%.
That's good.
100%. Yeah. So no, that sucks if he's ever experienced something like that. I think he may be thinking that if the guest cancels, now it's up to the host
Right.
whether they refund in full or not.
If
And
it's
if
like
they have
right close, if you don't have that window.
exactly, exactly, which I understand on hosts. Like for example, we just had somebody come and it was already past check-in time and they were like, "Hey, we like had something come up, we can't stay, can we get refunded?" I'm like,
I
you
turn
booked
people
the
down
day,
for
like
you.
we legit can't book it this quick anymore, so no, like we can't refund you on that.
Yeah.
But we gave them options. We always give our guests options, like, hey, if you cancel right now and it gets booked, we'll refund you if it gets booked right away, which it happens a lot. Or we tell them, hey, do you want us to change the date to another date on the calendar when you come back? So we never want to be like super messed up
Of
people who are
course. I
like,
think that what goes
yeah,
around comes around type of in business, especially. So
for sure, for
did you get
sure.
any questions that you wanted to ask?
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Let's see.
I know it's kind of weird you're asking yourself the question, but
I know, right? Okay, so I had actually a lot come in. Okay, what are some things you wish you knew when you first started Airbnbs
of
that you
course.
know now? Um, the importance of just a checklist, like the processes. So the laundry process, like all the systems you need in place to make it as smooth and stress-free as
So
possible.
what is that called? It's like a so anyway, like the list
Like
or directions.
protocol. Yeah,
Protocol. So that every
yeah,
time it's the same.
it's the
And it
same.
sets a standard, right?
Exactly. I wish, I'm telling you, Drew and I would spend like 3 hours cleaning. We're like, forget this. We're never doing this again. Like it was so, and then like we'd get booked again. We're like, yay, we got booked again. I'm like, shoot, now
Okay.
we gotta do this again.
So that's one thing.
So
What is another two things that
let's see, what other things? The importance of an emergency fund, like when COVID
right?
happened and
If
how,
they don't get booked.
yeah, like especially if you're subletting,
Mm,
making sure you're still going to be able to pay your landlord no matter what. You want to protect that relationship
relationship.
that you have with that landlord.
Hmm.
Let's see what else. Um, there's always like funny ones that you can think of, I'm sure. Like people will forever not read instructions. Like
Right.
we will never read instructions. So just be prepared
So
to
like
say
even if
the
you type it in there,
same
someone's gonna
thing
ask it.
forever, no matter what, no matter what. And you like can't be rude and be like, did you not read the instructions? I'm like, no, we just are those type of people. You know what I mean? We need instructions a million times.
Sure.
So yeah,
So that's
those are a
three
few.
things.
Yeah.
What else
Let's
you
see
could
what
ask?
else. What are tips for boosting your bookings, especially in the slow months?
What are the slow months?
I don't know because we don't really have slow
So
months in
yours
San
are pretty busy
Diego.
year round then.
Yeah, they are. We have peak months, which is like, summertime is where we know, we're going to get huge bookings during that time. But I would say slow months, I guess I would say the months that are like regular for us is just making sure you're updating your Airbnb listing, like changing the title, like for example, try with private parking, 10 minutes from the airport, like just switching it up, seeing like,
Oh,
oh, should I put a
maybe new
new,
keywords are hitting.
exactly. There was one, like when COVID, the like opening, like the openings were happening again, like with the beach.
Mm.
We changed one to be like 15 minutes away from the beach because we knew people were like, we need to get out. We
The
cannot be
beaches
inside
are open. We're
anymore.
going back. Yeah.
Yeah. So we knew people were going to come to San Diego solely to go to the beach because they're
Right.
like, we've been stuck inside.
Oh,
So
and
we
Comic
changed
Con season, you're right. And 15
exactly.
minutes to Comic Con.
Exactly. So it's just switching that up, switching up the descriptions, and just literally being always available because the algorithm on Airbnb, if you are persistent, if you're good at replying back, they'll always put you higher and higher.
Wow.
You just have to be on top of that stuff.
Hmm.
Let's see. What can you do to separate your Airbnb experience from others to increase bookings? Seriously, customer service. Like that will win always. That is the number one thing we've learned is that our Airbnbs are craftsman home. Like they're not renovated to be the most modern Airbnb. They're very like not renovated at all,
So
besides
they're
the
not
one
like
that
this
we
big
own.
luxurious stay, right?
Exactly. They're like, you are not, don't be expecting like marble countertops. Like, no, we've had the same countertops from like 100 years ago. I'm not even
Wow.
kidding on some of them. But our customer service, they will always refer people because of that. Like,
Wow. Yeah, that's cool.
one, we're so close to everything. All of that is a plus, but the customer service, they just always come back. Like we get so many other bookings from friends that have said like,
Oh.
oh, our friends told us about your Airbnb and it was so nice and great.
Do you get a lot of people repeat like, hey, we came here for my birthday last year, had a blast, we're gonna do it again?
You know what? We don't really get a bunch of repeats, but we do have like a solid few that we know will always come back.
Really?
Always. Like a good handful, maybe like 10 guests that we always get constantly booked from them
And when
all
you
the
see their name
time.
pop up, you're like, yep, cool. You're of
Yeah, we're
course
like,
welcome
hey,
back.
there's Jan. Jan
Yeah.
just booked again. Yeah. So we
That's pretty
know.
cool.
Yeah, it's really unique
I,
because
I
we can
always
like
I always
make it
wanted to see what
special.
my what people see on as my review, right? For being because so for those of you that don't know, when you stay at Airbnb, the host or owner of the
Yeah,
property gets to leave a review about you too, right? Like,
for sure.
did you mess up the house, leave all the dishes dirty, track
Yep.
mud prints in, and then just dip out? Like,
Hmm.
so mind your manners when you're staying at Airbnb.
Seriously, that's one thing that's different about Airbnb is that you are now,
It's like
like
staying at a friend's house, kind of.
for sure, for sure. Okay, hold on real quick. I think my AirPods just like
It died. I can't hear you. Yes, I can hear you now.
let me actually hold on real quick.
Hey,
Okay,
we're back. We had another technical difficulty, and you might hear some notifications, but we're just gonna have a few more questions here from social
okay.
media.
Okay, so okay, we already did what to separate your Airbnb experience, and I said customer service, also home
Right.
decor. Home decor, just make it fun and unique.
Do you guys
Um,
have anything that you do unique for each of them? Like, I know one time I stayed at Airbnb and they provided like a little tequila bottle from the area
oh,
when you
that's
stay there, and
cute.
I, they just refill it from a big master one, like you could
Hmm.
tell, but it's still cool. Like it was nice to just have something when you showed up instead of having to like
Yeah, that's
stop at the
super
grocery
cool.
store.
No, anytime we have people celebrating like birthdays, anniversaries, or any special occasion like an engagement, we always go all out. Like we have a little sign that will say like congrats and we put their name. We do like a bottle of wine for
That's
them.
awesome.
So yeah, that's
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 cool.
always fun. Okay, do you recommend running an Airbnb if you live out of state or far from the location? Oh, for sure. Yeah. That's so many people do that all the time.
Really?
Yeah, because really, like you just have to know the property well.
Mm.
Um, like that's really it. Like we always live, we feel like we always live in the houses before because it gives us a good idea of like, oh, when you run the dryer and a hair dryer, like
It blows
it,
the fuse.
yeah, exactly. So we're able to know these things that not a lot of people would. So I would say, yeah, you can totally run it out of state, but you have to know the little things like that and have a really great cleaning and handyman person.
Right. Which you do.
Uh,
Yeah. Oh, but out of state, you would need a
you would have
connection.
to have like a loyal team. But yeah, people do it all the time. How much more should your Airbnb be making you than your mortgage costs on the house?
Or your rent, right?
It really depends on your like goals, right? Like some people are okay with just meeting their mortgage. They're like, "Pfft, it's getting paid for like
That's
a
a lot of work
regular."
though, just to pay your mortgage, because you could just do a traditional renter for your mortgage almost.
Yeah, but remember the positive side of Airbnb is that you're constantly looking at over your property.
And
Always.
no one's gonna squat because they like there's like double protection, right?
Exactly. So there's like a constant, it works out better for the value of your home to
Because it's
do
constantly getting
Airbnb
clean, taken
versus a
care of.
traditional renter. Yeah. Because you're there, you're always there, you're able to see your property all the time versus a traditional renter. That's not the case.
Mm.
So some people are okay with like just pay my mortgage. I'm okay with that. We like making at least double or more than that
That's
on our
possible with
Airbnb.
Airbnb. Like you can make
Yeah,
double what the rent or
yeah,
mortgage is. You're
yeah.
like, yeah, Gio, come on. Yeah.
Like if we didn't have to pay our landlord rent, I'd be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I mean, it still makes a great amount of money, but I just always make out the math like, oh man.
So how has that affected you and Drew in your careers? Because are you still both full time, or has Airbnb kind of supplemented your income enough to where one of you can work less, or not at all?
Yeah, so basically it got to the point, our Airbnbs got to the point where like you have to be 100% in or you're going to start noticing people review little things that you're missing,
Mm,
right? And so Drew's passionate about his job and I'm passionate about what I do, but my parents were like, hey, we are already here, we're 100% invested, like
I mean, they're like their livelihood
tell
depends on
us.
these things now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like all you need to do is take care of messages. And my mom will reply back to many messages too. But we can handle it all. And so we got to a point where like, Mom, we'll give you the Airbnb business. Like that would be just a huge blessing for us to say,
Wow.
wow, we can like help you guys out. And you guys, we know you guys will love these Airbnbs as much as we do.
Right.
And be 100% invested. You see our vision for them and you know how well we want this to run, like how smooth and customer service and all of that. And so she was like, yeah, let's do it. So that's what she did. That so now they fully make like they have stopped all their jobs and they just run the Airbnbs and we have taken like a step back and now we focus on our own careers.
Oh, wow. So do you guys still get revenue from them though?
Yeah, so we've gotten to the point where we go, Mom, our one property, that mortgage has to be paid. Like, as long as that mortgage is paid, you guys can keep the rest. Like, we're good because you guys are
Right.
doing all the work for them.
Right. So you guys are
Um,
hands off at this point.
yeah, so it's very rare. Like, if Drew's in the area and we get a message, then Drew will stop by. But my dad will go, like if the breaker, some people don't know how to like switch the breaker. My dad will go, at like 10 p.m. at night. And he could care less. He's like, yeah, like this is how we live.
Yeah,
So we're
it's your
gonna
job.
do
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
That's
So
so cool.
yeah, that's really the biggest
So
blessing
you
I've
could have
had
probably stopped working, but you decided to push it off to
for sure.
family, and then they
Yeah,
pursued it, and you kind of because you love what you do, right? So
exactly. Exactly. So we were like, this works out. Like we don't need to be 100% here anymore.
right, and your
Like
mortgage is getting paid on the one part, so
exactly. Like we're okay with as long as the mortgage is paid, you guys keep the rest.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool, Maggie. I'm so happy for you. That's so cool. Like you are a
Oh,
wealth of
thank
knowledge on this topic. I feel like we could talk
oh,
forever about it.
thanks. I
You
know
probably learned so much.
I've always thought about like making a course that's like chill, right? Like not one of
Yes.
those weird courses that are like, and then you're gonna do this,
Yeah, but
and you
after
gotta
you pay
take
$99, swipe up.
oh
Yes.
cringe. I can't take the cringe, man. That's
So how can
um
people do you want people to reach out to you, or like you want to shout out your social media, or maybe any of your Airbnbs?
sure. We have our link on my Instagram on one
Okay.
of them. It's so weird. Instagram has to get better with the links because I wish we could just send one link and they can see all of our Airbnbs, but they can't.
You can't like even with
Um,
Linktree?
even with I guess with Linktree, yeah, I could do that. I didn't even think about that. Good
Yeah.
idea, Gio. But yeah, no, they could totally follow me at Maggie Madrid,
Check her out.
Magggie Madrid.
Check her out on Instagram. Check out the link if you want to stay at one of her Airbnbs.
Yeah.
It's super host, so you know you're gonna make it. And thanks for tuning in, everybody. And Maggie, thank you so much. It's been really good catching up with you again.
For sure. Thanks,
Oh,
Gio.
and thank you everyone who submitted questions. Those were fun. I'm glad we got those.
Yes, for sure.